Plumbers, delivery guys, doctors, or people in any other line of work usually portrayed in adult content. What is the closest situation you have ever been to which could lead as an opening to an adult video plot? I've shared this story before, but here goes. I used to be a princess for kids' birthday parties. I showed up to a party as Sleeping Beauty, only to be greeted by a large group of guys celebrating a 30th birthday. There was immense confusion. Guy who booked it is all, but I ordered Aurora for an hour and a half. Half the guys start cracking up. Bro, Aurora is Sleeping Beauty. You got a princess instead of a stripper. No one can figure out how this happened. I ended up painting faces and making balloon animals until they were able to procure some actual strippers, who were all really nice and found the whole thing hilarious, and got tipped very well. All in all, not a bad party. And those guys have some hilarious pictures of a fully costumed Sleeping Beauty standing beside 3 half-clothed strippers. We now have a Discord. Check out the server in the link in the description. Story 2. Delivered pizzas and the instructions were, the door will be unlocked. Please bring into bedroom down the hallway. I asked the manager, and he just says, oh, you've never delivered to her? She's bedridden. Her caretaker must not be there. She's awesome. Don't forget plates and napkins. Story 2. I'm a plumber who does a lot of maintenance in large apartment blocks throughout the city. Often the tenants aren't there during the day, so we call them, arrange a time, and pick up a set of keys to their apartment from head office. I've got a job to fix a leaky shower head. Pretty basic stuff. I get the keys, go up to the apartment, and loudly knock on the door. No answer after 10 seconds. So I slowly and loudly insert the key into the door, all to procedure. I open the door and walk my tools in when I notice 2 young women completely stark nude in the kitchen. They seem as shocked as I am, and after a split second I apologize red-faced and back out. I call the number I was given on the work order and one of the women answer. Apparently they were expecting someone else and the shower is fine. I think they were expecting a guy to come in, since the bloke who works for the phone for my company has a pretty attractive voice. There also aren't many female plumbers like me either. Story 4. Delivered pizza to a house in the suburbs on a Friday night. Door opens and this guy stuffs a $100 bill down my shirt. I'm female, was 18 at the time. I stand there in shock as one of his buddies comes over and grabs him and apologizes over and over. Guy was drunk and apparently thought that I was a stripper. The other guys in the house are playing poker. I tried to return the money, but the buddy told me to keep it, and said they'd tell him the story in the morning and make fun of him for it. What I thought was going to be the harassment of a innocent delivery worker turns out to be not that at all. Just an honest drunken mistake, and it seems like everyone had fun and she got away with $100, so couldn't have been that bad. Story 5. Not me directly, but my coworker at a pizza place that I delivered for during college, in a college city that is open very late. Some woman called in and ordered some food. Was told the wait was going to be closer to an hour. This was pretty normal once the bars in town closed. She told the guy on the phone that if the pizza was there in 20 minutes, she would bang the delivery driver. Of course, this guy thinks it's hilarious and tells the manager. Manager decides to prioritize the delivery, and send one older married dude that delivered for us and not tell him what the situation is. The driver comes back white as a ghost and immediately says, "Y'all will never freaking believe what just happened." Everyone dies of laughter because we know he's a good dude and would never cheat on his wife. But apparently this super attractive, clothed, college-aged girl answered the door and said something along the lines of, "Well, you made it in time, let's bang." Driver obviously has no idea what's going on and just awkwardly blurts out he's married, asks for her to sign the receipt, and dips out. Smart on the manager for sending that guy. Any college-aged guy working there would have probably taken her up on the offer. We all got a good laugh and the chick got her pizza in 20 minutes. Lots of good stories from that job. Story 6. I worked as a security guard in a hotel and had to tell a lady to turn down music. She flashed me and giggled. Had to go back later and she was wearing a robe that was open in her underwear and no bra. That was super messed up. Another time, my significant other worked as a pizza delivery driver, so I had her deliver my pizza and we banged when she dropped it off. Story 7. I used to deliver pizzas for a neighborhood joint. I pulled up to this huge house with a Mercedes parked out front. The order was a 16-inch sausage pizza. I think to myself, this is it. I'm about to be in an adult video. I ring the doorbell. A gorgeous woman in her mid-40s answers the door. I don't even have time to think, it just comes out. "I have a 16-inch sausage for you." She signs the credit card slip, leaves me no tip, and then closes the door in my face. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Story 8. Was a plumber for a long time. A few years ago on Christmas Day, I had a call for a gas leak. When my partner and I arrived, the lady admitted that there was no gas leak. She said she just wanted some company, so she paid the service fee for us to sit there for an hour and talk with her over coffee. Turns out she was a romance novel writer and was extremely lonely. I got some weird vibes like she wanted more from us, but nothing happened aside from the conversation. When we were leaving, she tipped us $100. It was the coolest/most awkward experience of my plumbing career. I feel like when other people are lonely and want some company and someone to talk to, calling a plumber isn't first on the list. I have to wonder what else she tried before this, or if this really was just her go-to. Or maybe she was doing research for a novel she was writing. Story 9. Used to install swimming pools in the summer. My team were basically the startup team. We did all the plumbing of the equipment, pump, heater, etc., and installed the liner and interior elements. We were installing at a nice lakefront neighborhood, and the homeowner/client was very keen on asking us regularly when it would be ready, since we were at peak summer temperatures. This client is what my boss liked to describe as milfy. So we get to work on our final day. The pool is full and finishing touches are being put out, ladder, faceplates, and whatnot. My boss is finishing the plumbing when the homeowner, a mid-40s woman on the thicker side with curves in the right places and long brown hair, comes out of the house in a less than modest bikini. Definitely a tanning in my private backyard bikini and not a there's two complete strangers working 10 feet away bikini. And then steps out her college-aged daughter and let's just say she got all of mom's genes on a skinnier body. I ended up being right about the tanning bikini part because they proceeded to lie down on their lounge chairs, oil up, face down, and remove their tops. I breathed a sigh of relief as Milfy Mama started a lecture about, "You're in your second year now and textbooks are going to cost a lot more." I was finishing with my work at that point, and was about to warn my boss around the side of the house about the impromptu adult video session occurring around the corner. Just as I'm getting up from the deck of the pool, I hear a creak of the rusty spring at the back door of the house. Out steps the third actress in today's threesome. It turns out the character playing daughter invited her best friend to the occasion. She was just inside the whole time changing into yet another bikini. Then out comes my boss from around the corner. Before he even looks up from the rag he's wringing with his hands, he begins his, "Alright, so everything looks good," speech, only to turn beet red and chuckle to himself as he tries to look for a nearby distraction. But this is real life, and we all just had a laugh about it. The mother apologizes to my boss for embarrassing him while he gave her a quick instruction on operating the pump. When we got back to the van after wrapping up, he took a long drag from his cigarette and blew it out the window. "Alright, you can tell your friends about this, but leave me out of it. I'm married." Story 10. I clean at a hotel, cleaning the men's public washrooms, and every time a man will walk in already unzipping, so I dart for the door. But at least once a week I'm told not to be so quick to leave. Was sweeping the hallway Friday night and a couple stood a few feet away, then stood further down the hall. About 5 minutes later, the wife asks me to join them in their room, and then also adding one for my maintenance coworker who was servicing the pool and was asked by a hot tub full of women to join them. He said he didn't have anything to change into. I'm not sure how, but he didn't get in. Story 11. Delivery guy here, 3 times flashed by pervy men in bathrobes while saying, "Whoops," while staring into my eyes. Not my thing. Countless women that flash a little when answering the door. I assume a small percentage are exhibitionists, and most are just running late. I politely avert my eyes and give them their lunch. And then there's my boo. She orders often, always answers in a really small towel, and always drops it a bit. She giggles when she drops the towel, and it's really hard for me to not look. Distracts me for hours every time. Story 12. I'm a lifeguard. Not sure if they're often depicted in adult videos, but this situation felt kind of, it fits. After closing the pool, we give customers 15 minutes to shower and get dressed before we enter the changing rooms to clean up. Even after those 15 minutes, I always knock and shout into the women's changing room, just to see if there are any women still changing as I'm a guy. Often there will be people finishing up and I'll just have to give them another minute or two. This one time I knocked, opened the door slightly and called in, "Hello?" So no answer and I walked in. There was a woman standing there completely naked. I jumped, apologized, and turned away immediately to give her some more time. On my way out, she just said, "Wait, can I ask you something?" She then proceeds to ask me loads of questions while standing there completely naked, soaping herself up, etc. Like completely random questions as if to just make conversation. Not even attempting to cover up. I just answered everything helpfully while trying not to look directly at her too much. And then I gave her some more time. I am, to this day, pretty sure I could have gotten late at work that day. Story 13. I'm a doctor, and during my rotation in psychiatry when I was a fresh graduate, I had to take a history from a lady patient with erotomania. She was lying on the bed while I walked in her room, but halfway through the conversation she changed her posture to be something similar to Rose in the drawing scene in Titanic, asking me personal questions and intentionally showing me her cleavage. She also accidentally touched my thigh. Being a professional doctor, I continue taking history without any impure thoughts. I understand that it is wrong to have a relationship of any form with my patients, and I will definitely not take advantage of my patient's mental illness for my personal satisfaction. That, and also I was in an old age psychiatry ward. Story 14. I was working as a doctor in an A&E department. Guy comes in with testicle pain, possible torsion. As one of 2 male doctors in the department at the time, I was sent to examine him. After a quick chat, I have to get to business and examine his balls. Thankfully for him, everything was normal. But during the exam, he gets a little excited. I'm a professional and just ignore it. But as part of the exam, you have to look at their faces to see if they are in pain. I notice the guy is actually grinning at me as he gets hard. It was literally something out of an adult video. Story 5. Worked as a pizza delivery guy while going through school. Delivered to a house one afternoon with 2 girls, both 18 at most. As one goes to get the money, the other says, "We'll give you a blowy right now if you want one." The whole thing felt like cameras were going to pop out of closets any minute. I got the money and left. Incredibly awkward. Story 16. I was delivering an order from Jack in the Box to a very nice apartment/condo around midnight one night. I delivered there once to an older guy, so wasn't expecting the young, 21 to 23 at most, topless chick who opened the door. She tells me to come in and bring the food to the kitchen. I'm reluctant but just want to end the awkwardness, so I walk into the kitchen. The whole place was dark except for what I guess you would call mood lighting, so I can see everything but it's still dark. Right past the kitchen area is the living room, and the older dude was fully clothed, sitting on the couch. There's another topless chick on the floor, and there's a bunch of crumpled up dollar bills and a camera on a tripod facing her. Old dude recognizes me and says, "Hey, I remember you. Hey girls, this is my name. She's cool, pour her a shot, she's the best." So he gets up and all the girls, there's 3 total now, come to the kitchen area where I put the food down. And I look at them and they all pretty much look exactly alike. Except one is white, one is black, and one is Asian. They're all the same height, the same build, and have the same sized boobs. Same weight, same hairstyle and length, and their makeup was the same as well. So they're all trying to convince me to have a shot at least and to stay. But I decline and tell them, "Thanks, but I have to drive," and I leave as fast as I can. And when I get to my car, I just start laughing and sit there for a while. I don't know if it's nice or creepy that the guy remembered OP's name after only seeing them once. Also, why, as a delivery driver for Jack in the Box, did he learn your name? I don't know, something about this is weird, but hey, guy sounds like he's living his best life and is respecting people, I think, so fine. Story 17. Used to do service work for a water utility. One time had a call to this house in a nice neighborhood. An attractive woman in her early 40s answers the door and lets me in to check a leaking pipe in the basement. I give the typical "how's it going?" and she tells me that her divorce was finalized earlier that week. She's now single for the first time in 12 years, and this was the first husband chore that popped up around the house. The cause of the leak was the expansion connector on the water meter, which just needed to be tightened a hair. I showed her how to fix it if it ever happened again and wished her the best. This is a great answer to the prompt. Everything about this sounds like it's going to lead up to an adult video, but nope. Just like, sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you're happy. Anyway, here's how you fix this, and goodbye. Story 18. An MD that I work with told me a story about his rotation as an OBGYN. It was a male doctor, and this one patient was always awkward to deal with. So my coworker goes in before the doc to update the patient history. He was a resident at the time, and thinks she seems like a pretty normal middle-aged lady. A few minutes later, the doc knocks on the door and enters the room. But he has brought 3 female nurses with him. Usually it's just one. The lady gets all flushed and smiles at the doctor and mentions that it has been too long since my last visit. The doc is very polite and goes over what they will be doing. She was already in the stirrups covered by a gown. Just a routine pap smear and examination. So he goes over to the patient and lifts up the gown just a little bit. And when he does, the lady lets out this soft, intimate sigh. The doc looks over at the nurses as if to say, "You're seeing this, right?" As he approaches with the speculum, he can see that she is sopping wet and engorged. Within seconds of the speculum entering the canal, this woman is moaning and squirming on the table. The doc asks her to please be very still, and she replies with, "Okay, I'll do my best, doctor," in an overly frisky way while still panting and making a bunch of small grunting noises. Halfway through the examination, she is gripping the table and starts to have contractions, and everyone in the room is just staring at each other, trying their best to remain professional. After he got the sample and removed the speculum, he hurriedly said, "Okay, that's it, we're all finished." And she replied, "Yeah, thank you so much, doctor." I asked my coworker if this happened often, and he said he never saw anybody else do something like that. Apparently, the lady refused to see anyone else in the practice, but they didn't want to fire her as a patient because then she might make a big deal about it, or worse, try to blame him for making intimate advances. Other than that, she was an easy patient to deal with, so they just got the examination over with as fast as they could and sent her on her way. Look, I'm gonna keep it 100 with everyone here. I've seen a speculum. I don't know how that could do anything for anyone. This is so strange. I'm so sorry to that doctor. Story 19. I'm a cabinet installer. I finished a very expensive, very fancy install in a personal record time to get the house into a local parade. The real estate agent was a young woman who got really excited about my work, or her significantly increased chances of getting a hefty commission. I had stayed late to dust everything off and vacuum my way out when she showed up. She thanked me about a dozen times and invited me to come work the parade with her, emphasizing drinks and how the house would be fully furnished. Story 20. Did a 4-month stint as a GP, family doctor. A woman came in for an urgent appointment for irregular bleeding. After taking some history, I say I need to examine her. She said she was okay with a male doctor, so I said something to the effect of, "Just wait here while I get a chaperone." As I get up to leave, she holds her hand up, looks me dead in the eyes and say, "Oh, don't worry, we won't be needing a chaperone." Turns out she was an off-duty police officer with a black belt in judo, and as she went behind the screen to undress, she said, "I'm more likely to hurt you than you will me." Most awkward examination of my entire career so far. Story 21. I was a pizza delivery guy for a couple years, so I've got some stories. One time I had 2 deliveries to the same apartment building. Went to the first apartment, knocked, no answer, but I could hear a shower running. Went to the second, delivered, checked back at the first on my way out. Knock again, and this time an absolutely gorgeous woman answered the door in nothing but a thong and a sheer baby doll nightie. She turned around and bent over to get in her purse to fish out a tip. She made a big deal about how she couldn't find anything in her purse while wiggling her butt at me, before she finally pulled out a 10. I saw everything. I was like 95% sure she was screwing with me though because her boyfriend was sitting in a corner the entire time. I was married anyway, so I just enjoyed the view and went on my way. I had delivered to a dorm and a cute but very awkward girl told me how nice it was that they sent the cute driver and gave me her number. I'm not sure if it was supposed to make up for the fact that she only tipped me like a $1.50, but again, married, so I didn't do anything. And one last one where I delivered to a group of ladies in their early 40s having a party that night before a big college football game. With wine flowing and stripper music blaring, they told me they'd give me a much bigger tip if I danced for them. Then one of them made a joke about how sure she was that I had a big tip for all of them, and pressed me hard to come back after my shift was over. That last one is just straight up harassment, brother. Like, let's be real, if that happened to a woman delivering anything, that's an HR problem or something. But I guess if it happens to a man, I don't know, man. Either way, OP didn't seem to really mind, so it's fine. Oh, also, I just noticed that OP didn't say anything about not doing anything about the last one. So hey, maybe he was down. He did very specifically say with the other 2, "Oh, I'm married, I didn't do anything." But not with the last one. Suspicious, OP. Suspicious.